Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Financial Advisors Workshop. And this is the show where we talk to our people. We talk to our brethren in the industry who are working financial advisors. There's over 2 million financial advisors in America, and we want to find the best ones and talk to them about how they run their show. And that way we can all learn from them. So today we've got Todd Bryant. So, Todd, welcome to the Financial Advisors Workshop.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Excellent. So now you're in Florida, and everybody up north at this time of year is feeling the cold and all that kind of stuff. But you're in Orlando, right?
Yep. Yeah,
Great.
right by Disney.
Okay, great. And you run Signature Wealth, and that's where you are now. You're a founding partner of the firm. Um, then let's hear a little bit about your firm. But before that, tell us about how you got into the business that led to here.
Yeah, so I had my first internship within the financial world actually 20 years ago this summer. I was at Merrill Lynch, and it was my first taste. It was through a kind of a couple of separation degrees to a family member that I got in, and that was really my first taste of the industry. And I enjoyed seeing how they operated their business and how they worked with clients, and math and dealing with people were two of my strong suits. And so throughout that, I went to school here in Orlando. I went to UCF and did a few other internships as well, actually 6 total internships and an externship during my stay there. So I really tried a lot of different things. And my final internship was with Northwestern Mutual, which is where I ended up starting my career. Spent 7 years there.
Okay, so you got the training from them, how to build a fact and do all those things that they do in the insurance world. But that's not really investments, right? So how did you moved into the investment world? Um,
Yeah.
so how did you get to your firm now as a founding member of your Signature Wealth? What Signature Wealth Partners?
Yeah. So I started, and knowing what I knew from Merrill and other things, I wanted to ultimately be a financial planner, do more of investments and less of insurance. For me, it ended up being the entry point where I saw like you said, the training was great and everything else, and I could learn about the risk products and all of that through there. As my clientele grew and as my business continued to grow, that's when myself and my now partners realized that by going independent, we could be able to offer a lot more for our clients and give them, better opportunities and focus more on the financial planning and investments and wealth management, all of that. So a little over 10 years ago, we branched out and we started our own thing. And at the time, there was 5 partners. Now there's 4. And 3 years ago, we joined Raymond James on their broker-dealer platform as an independent on the independent side.
So are you in the IAD division or your independent broker dealer world?
The independent broker, well, yeah, ICD division.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So that so there are some distinctions there. And you still have all your brokerage licenses as well.
Yeah, we still have all our brokerage licenses. I was just looking at my numbers from last year as I was kind of doing my planning for this year. 97% of my revenue comes from fees. So primarily we are, RIA or, fee heavy, but there's a 3% where every once in a while, a CD or 529 or something like that.
Sure, sure. Okay. Well, good. So now the 400 million, is that your 400 million or is that the entire firm?
That's the firm. So the firm currently, there's 4 of us that are the partners. We have another advisor as well here in Florida. We're all based in Florida. We've got some employees that are out of the state, but yeah, that's basically the 5 of us are around 400.
Okay. So when you guys stepped out, the 5 of you, now 4, decided to build this firm. Besides the fact that you had clients and everything, what did you do that makes you guys unique, right? Because they could just go to Merrill Lynch or some other firm down the block, and why would they go to some small firm like you, right? But
Yeah.
what's your edge, if you will?
Yeah. I think one thing that's been great, especially as my career progressed. I mean, in the early days, one of my very first clients, I went through the whole kind of proposal presentation, everything, asked him if he had any questions, and he said, "Yeah, Todd, the one question I have, it's been on my mind the whole time. Have you started shaving yet?" And
Nice.
so Yeah. So my response was, Mr. Client, as a matter of fact, I only have to shave every couple of days, but I have started shaving, and if it makes you feel better, when I come back next week, I can bring one of the older guys at the office, been doing it for 30 plus years, and he and I can work together on this. And I said, but the difference is that, that person's probably thinking more about their retirement and their family and their future versus me. I'm going to be here for at least the next 3 decades sitting here with you, worried about your retirement, your family, your future. So either work with me now or you're going to work with me in a couple of years when that other person retires. And he like kind of nodded his head and he was like, okay, yeah, let's sign the paperwork. Let's get going. So,
Nice.
um, yeah, that was a battle I've faced throughout my whole career of looking young and just turned 40. So I don't really think I look as young as I used to, but I also devoted a lot of time towards all the designations, CFC, CHFC, CLU, AIF. So I had a goal if I wanted to have more initials after my name than in my name. So I hit that number and dedicated a lot to training. And I think that's important as well. So the reason I mention all that, Brian, is that I feel like I've reached a nice sweet spot for clients where I've been doing it long enough now that I know what I'm doing, but I've got 2 young kids in private school. I'm not retiring anytime soon. So I'm going to still continue to be there for them for a long period of time. You kind of mentioned like the larger firm type thing. And, when we look at competitive type situations, like I've got a potential client coming in here in the next hour. And he was talking with a couple of different firms. I'm not going to name any names, but it's like a discount brokerage type thing where the fees are lower, but they're probably going to be rotating who his advisor is going to be. And there's going to be high turnover and all of that. And so, of course, there's a lot of advantage to having that relationship. And, I'm sure everybody tells you that comes on your podcast, but we do everything we can to take care of our clients as much as possible. We go above and beyond. Clients are going to have access to me directly. They're not going through a team of people. I mean, it might be my assistant that's going to ultimately get them what they need if they're needed something. But that I always tell them to come to me with anything, and we'll take care of them. So I think also having our team is good. So the way we operate, my clients are my clients, and my partners have their individual clients. But God forbid something were to happen to me, we have the agreements in place. And now that I have turned 40, we have 4 different partners that are in different decades. So I tell them we got a guy in the 60s, 50s, 40s, and 30s. So we diversified our ages so that we can serve you if anything happens to any of us.
Nice. Well, good. So yeah, the personal service is really important. And maybe that's not a sexy thing, but if you do it all the time, that's what people really want. They want to be listened to, and it sounds like you guys do that well. How do you do that? Like, do you use certain kind of financial planning programs and review them? And what is your like client service model?
Yeah, and that's always changed and evolved over the years. Especially with texting. So one of the things that Raymond James has been great with is technology. So we have, and I know other advisors have this capability as well, and hopefully they're using it. But clients have a dedicated phone number to text me to, and for some people that could be kind of a pain. And but for me, I use it as an advantage and just say, here's my texting only number. Clients only have access to this number. And you can text me 24/7. Now, if you text me in the middle of the night or you text me on the weekend, I'm probably not going to respond. I'm going to have I'm going to have my phone silence for those. But I will always get back to you at the beginning of the next business day on that. And if it's really an emergency, I will get back to you right away. So, that texting is the way that most of the world wants to communicate these days anyway. And I actually had a client of mine where he used to have 2 advisors, and it was actually coincidentally the other advisor was also named Todd. And I was like, "That's fine, we'll go with the 2 advisors." And eventually, he moved all the money over to me. And I asked him, and I said, "Well, what was really the driver of that?" And he said he would reach out to both of us at the same time with a similar question. I would get back to him within the hour, and it was me getting back to him. And the other guy, he would hear from the person's staff like 3 days later, and then they would book an appointment for a week out just to answer a simple question. He said it all came down to communication. So that's a big part of it as well. And especially with like a client newsletter that we use, that I use a service that I've been very, very happy with that helps to write our client newsletters. And They're hearing from me on a monthly basis from that. We meet with all clients at least semi-annually. Some of them are quarterly, but we started doing surge meetings a couple of years ago from reading and learning from a few other advisors about that. And that's been great, both for us and for the client. So we meet with everybody in the spring, and then we meet with them again in the fall. And if any, they're going to need, some people are going to need to meet with me throughout the year for other reasons that they've got going on. But if we can primarily focus on those 2 times, it makes us more efficient, makes me more efficient. And clients really know, like, hey, I can wait until the spring review to talk to Todd about this, or we can chat about it in the fall review. And it's really made the business just very efficient these past couple of years since we implemented that.
So you mentioned a surge review. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, surge meetings. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about that, because I think some of our guests might not have heard of that before. Talk about it. What's a surge meeting?
Yeah, Matthew Jarvis is who I would give the shout out to. I've listened to his podcast and things over the years. He's a fellow financial advisor, and he's the one that really coined the phrase surge meeting. So he wrote a book that came out a couple of years ago called Delivering Massive Value. And it was through me reading that book that really convinced me to make this change in my business. And prior to that, what I would do, Brian, is I would, in probably the 3rd week of February, my assistant would put together a list of all the clients whose anniversary date was March of when they became clients, first opening their first account with us. And she would reach out, or I would reach out, and we would get those people on the schedule for March, and we would just do an annual review with them in March. We'd always base it off of that. So if you have 120 households as an example, then that means that 10 a month you're going to be meeting with every single month. So what the surge meeting does, as opposed to just spreading out those reviews throughout 12 months, you're really just cramming them into more like a 4 to 6 week period of time, and makes you very, very busy and quite stressful, and back to back to back to back meetings during that 4 to 6 weeks. But like I mentioned, I've got an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, and it's very, very important to me that we can do as much as we can on the days that they're out from school, that I can be with them, like in the summertime and around the holidays and all of that. So from a family standpoint, it's given me the opportunity that usually by like middle of May, when they're starting to get out of school, I've now met with most of my clients during that period of time, and we've taken care of whatever needs that they might have. So it allows me to take off more time during the summer to be able to be with the kids and all of that. So that part's been good. And also from a efficiency standpoint, what I'm going over with clients, because I'm meeting with all of them at the same time, kind of my spiel of what's going on in the market and the economy and everything is kind of the same every meeting. And I can better prepare for those meetings because, it's not like it changes. It's only kind of one snapshot at a time of like, okay, here's where the market's at, here's where our accounts are at, and all of that. So it makes me more efficient in that as well.
Nice. Well, good. So the surge meetings, the kind of the season, we call it like review season, kind of almost, right? The 4 to 6 weeks, crank it out, and then you have time to think it through and there. So, and you get a lot of these really interesting calls that really have nothing to do with money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about 1 or 2 of those calls. Like what would a client call you about that really isn't what you cover, but they trust you so much that they'll call you about things like the right kind of pasta, the right kind of school, the right kind of nursing home? I mean, what are the calls you got?
Yeah, that's a great question, Brian. And that's one of I'd say one of the most rewarding things with, with what you and I do and the relationships we get to have with clients and being part of it. And, even brand new people that come in within an hour of meeting them, we might not know more intimate details of their finances than anybody else that they've ever shared throughout the course of their life. So, that's been a fun part for me over the years, is being able to be a part of just kind of those random phone calls. For me, I've been pretty active within the community for a while now. So I've got an opportunity to get to know a lot of people, and I'm involved in a lot of things. So I'm fortunate that I get the phone call when somebody needs a referral for something. It could be something completely different than finance or even legal or tax or something like that. That they just say, hey, I'm looking for this, and I'm able to help them out with that. As an example, I just got a text through my approved Raymond James texting number from a client saying that he is helping somebody that wants to potentially buy into a brewery. He's like, do you know anybody that owns a brewery? And I said, yes. As a matter of fact, Glenn, Ivanhoe Park Brewing here in Orlando, one of the best breweries out there. You can talk to him. He owns a brewery. And he's like, wow, man, you just, you whatever I need, you're readily available. And I said, that's why you moved your money over to me.
There you go. Nice. Well, great. That's really a testament to your success. So you've been at it now 17 years and you have the firm now the last decade or so. So what do you see as some of the trends in the industry? Are we moving more toward financial planning? Are we moving in different directions? What are you seeing and how does it affect how you guys operate?
Yeah, I think the trend kind of continued to be over the years where when we look at actual investment performance or someone's actual portfolio, and we kind of look at that trend over time. Now there certainly are some differences, and you and I have looked at thousands of people's finances over the years, and there is the good, the bad, and the ugly. But a lot of times when you're looking at like a good firm and a good advisor and someone that knows what they're doing, like the actual performance and the funds are probably not going to differ all that much from person to person. So then you really say, okay, then this client's paying a fee for this, and what are they getting for that fee? So where's the value? So I think the trend's going to continue to be that it can't just be based off investment performance. And you can't just say, oh yeah, we invest in this index and we rebalance on this date and we do this. And that's not really that much of a differentiator because they can pretty much go online themselves and do some of those things. So I think it's some of those ancillary type services and benefits that we can help them out with. And even though we don't focus on insurance anymore, I'm still insurance licensed and can help them on the risk management piece. Like a client of mine yesterday, we identified that since we started together, he's making a lot more money than he used to be, and he's got a family, and he's the breadwinner, and he has a very, very small disability policy that I sold him like 10 years ago. And I was like, we really need to take a look at that disability policy because something happens to you, that's not going to pay, that's going to barely pay for anything for your family. So, those types of things, taking care of that. From a tax planning standpoint, we don't have a CPA currently on staff, and we're not enrolled agents or anything like that, but we use a plan from a tax planning standpoint that can help clients and looking at their taxable situations. And part of the software that we use it's Offset, a Money Guide Pro, and they have a really good Roth conversion tool that I use a lot with clients and take a look at and say, okay, let's plan these out for the rest of your life and see how much that could potentially save you in taxes over the course of your life as well. So I think a lot of these financial planning type conversations and things are going to be very important so that we can earn the fees that we're getting from our clients.
No, that's great. Well, good. So industry trends, what do you see as the future for your firm? And how does it affect, how you serve clients as well? Like, where are you guys headed from here?
Yeah, when we made the move over to Raymond James, we've been extremely happy with the technology that they provide and with the platform that they have. And I feel like I'm so much more efficient. I think with the growth that I've personally seen the past couple of years, that if I hadn't made that change, I would probably have had to add another staff person and additional costs with that. So I think from a body count, we're not really looking to grow the amount of how large we are at that point. We feel like we can be very efficient the way that we are. I do think over the course of the next decade that we're going to have some nice opportunities for acquisitions, even within if we stayed within our broker dealer or even outside of that. Especially since COVID, just in our area, I've watched traffic get worse and worse and worse, and so many people coming into Florida and Central Florida. That there's a ton of opportunity, not only with the clients that are moving here, but with advisors who are, they're getting older and they're looking for to sell their practice. And I think that's going to be an opportunity for us as well. So although to this point, everything has been organic growth for us, I do see the opportunity to grow through acquisition in the future too.
Yeah. So, and let's talk about the investing world. So we've had some pretty strange days. We had a really, really bad year in the market in 2022 and a very mild recession. And then we saw a huge increase in interest rates we haven't seen since the 1980s, where most investors weren't even around then. And now, we see markets near highs, and the Fed was lowering rates. That's very unusual too. But now the Fed may have to raise rates. They're talking about. So, what does it look like going from here? What do you want to give us some predictions? See what will happen.
Oh boy, yeah, the world of predictions is always a good way to guarantee you won't be right. But
There you
yeah, I'd say I think with the next 4 years, as we've already experienced just the past couple of weeks, we'll just take this past Monday as an example. Market looks like it's going to be down really big with the tariff news, and by the end of the day, we have Canada and Mexico both kind of meeting with Trump, changing their mind. The market's coming back, and now we've got a 30-day wait on those things, and it seems like hopefully it could get sorted out. So I think that's kind of a good indication that, especially like last year, we didn't really see a lot of volatility. Yeah, in December we started to, but I think that that's going to be what the next 4 years is going to look like. It's just going to be more on the volatility side, and I think it's going to be a lot of you and I having conversations like we did with clients in 2022 and March and April of 2020, where it's making sure that we talk them off the ledge, and there will be the ups and downs, and we know that on average, I think since 1950, the intra-year low is about 14% on the S&P. So it goes down by on average about 14% every year.
Yeah.
And we didn't really hit that number last year. And people have a short-term memory and they're going to forget. And we're going to get to that number. And then they're going to say, oh, I think we should sell. I read this bad article somewhere. They said this on the news, or I read this on Twitter, or whatever it is. So I think that's, again, where we make our money as their advisors is being the voice of reason to them, and reminding them to be thinking long term. And we built the portfolio knowing that there's going to be the ups and downs and all of that, and we can't predict it, and we can't change anything to do with it. But what we can do is just make sure that given your individual goals and your time horizon, your risk, and how much money you have, that we are invested properly, that you're going to weather any storms that are going to come. So yeah, I'd say that would be my prediction, would just be more volatility than we've seen the past couple of years.
Yes. It's a very, very strange past 5 years. So it's a lot of things still need to be worked out. So very interesting. Well, good. So, we're kind of coming to the end of our discussion here. I think we got a good picture for how you run the firm and how you got to where you are. You're a great success, and you and your partners have done a really nice job. If you could share with our listeners, like one key or one message that you'd like to give them about success and how to be successful in this business, and how you guys got to where you are, what would that be? Can you share with us just your thoughts on the message you'd like to send to the advisor?
Yeah, sure, Brian. Yeah, what I feel like I've done well at over the years is finding things that I enjoy doing, and things that I would be doing regardless of if I was in a business and where it benefits me to be finding clients in these places or not. So for example, I mentioned my alma mater, UCF. I'm on the UCF alumni board. I'm very active. I was at an event there last night. I was there this morning. It's about 45 minutes from my house, so it's not the most convenient thing for me to do on a regular basis. But by getting involved with that, and by getting the opportunity to meet some larger donors to the university, and being part of with the sports and all of that, these are things I enjoy doing. I'm passionate about anyway, but also it's been able to benefit me. And most recently, the past couple of years, my kids go to a school here locally in our small town of Winter Garden, and they started a dad's professional group within that school. So it's only for dads that have kids at that school that are some sort of C-level type executive or owner of their company. And there's about 10 of us that are in the group, but we're meeting on a monthly basis. It's very similar to how we would have study groups with fellow advisors like us, except it's people of different industries. And that group just started last month, was our first meeting, but there's already a lot of synergy and a lot of referral potential and things going on with that. And again, I would be involved with my kids' school, whether I was a financial advisor or whether I was a bag boy at the grocery store, I would still be involved in my kid's school. But this is a way in which I can do something I'm passionate about, and it can benefit from a business standpoint as well. So that's what I would tell the advisors, whether they're new or they're trying to make changes in their practice. Find some things that they enjoy doing, and then try to figure out how they can also benefit personally and professionally from that.
Excellent. That's great advice. And you have had great success, and we appreciate you being our guest today on the Financial Advisor Workshop.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to staying in touch.
All right. Thank you. And thanks everybody for being with us. We're going to be back again. This year, we're going to be adding some interviews with not just financial advisors, but others that can support financial advisors. So we've got a couple trainers and all kinds of different folks that will help financial advisors be better at what they're doing. Anyway, so that's upcoming. So thanks everybody for being with us today again on this episode of Financial Advisor Workshop. Thank you to Todd Bryant, and we will be back with another show very shortly. Over and out. Thanks everybody.